It's Friday afternoon and I've started work at last back on the XL250. I'm working at the front end of the bike. It's still suspended from the ceiling. I have loosely fitted the clamp bolts for the stanchions for the suspension, and here we have a temporary bolt. I do have the correct bolt, but I don't have the really weird M7 by 1mm nut. So I've just ordered two online at vast expense because they're a dumbass size. I've temporarily clamped in one of the forks and lifted the dust cover off it, and what I intend to do is, while I've got it clamped there, use the polishing wheel on my electric drill to buff it up and get more of a shine on it while I've got the opportunity to get at it. I now have both forks fitted into the frame. Oh, actually, you can see just how shiny those forks have come up after I buffed them up. They've come out really nicely with the polish, and they don't stay shiny for long. They oxidize quite quickly. But yes, I'm ready now, I think, to lower the bike down close enough to be able to get a front wheel in there and fitted. I'm going cautiously because I don't want to scratch the freshly painted hub. That's the most important part of this for me. And it's easier said than done because I'm a little bit high in the cradle. It's close, but it's not quite there. There we go. Come on. Almost there. Almost. Gentle love tapping. Probably help. Blimey. Normally I'm not this cautious with it, but because it's newly painted. Come on. That's more like it. Better. Bit of a wrestle. It's worth being careful to stop it damaging the hub. Excellent. Alright, it's time to fit the rear wheel. So the first thing I'm going to do is fit the wheel spacer into the wheel, and that requires a bit of grease around here. It just plugs in, and there's a seal on the rear wheel hub which stops any dirt and crap getting in there, so I'll just push that in there. The slider itself, I'm going to grease the face that goes up against the frame. All these components have been plated, which means they're nice and shiny compared to the rusty mess they were when they came off the bike. Okay, so we've got the hub, we've got the rear wheel. I'm going to try and line these up. Oh, I know what I haven't done, which is quite important, is a smidge of grease on the part of the frame that stops the hub from rotating. That was shot blasted when it went for powder coating, but it's left it exposed metal. I'd like to take that with the grease. That part that I just greased runs in this channel here. Okay, here we go. Right, hub slots into the wheel. Hopefully the height is about right. Got a bit of swing on this, so hopefully there's a bit of wiggle. Try not to damage anything on the way in. Okay, we're a little bit high, but nothing we can't work with. Again, I'm trying to be careful not to damage anything. There we go. Okay, this slides in from the other side. This will be the fun bit. Okay, we've engaged with the hub. Now I'm going to lift the wheel and just try and get that going. There we go. Excellent. So far, almost right. Almost. There we go. There we go. Right, that is now sticking out through the side of the swing arm. And everything is about lined up. Now I've got to get the nut on there. Sorry, the next bit is the slider. There we go, the slider's in place. Now we get the nut in. The next job is to tighten that up. I'm not too worried about alignment right now, I just want to get the whole thing in place and loosely tightened. Okay, that feels good. That feels good. Okay, the bike is still up on straps at the moment, but now it's probably too heavy to support from the rafters safely. And the whole thing is upright thanks to the straps. So I think the next job, which is quite important, would be to get the kickstand on so that we can lean it up under its own weight then, and that will get us back on our wheels. I'm not entirely sure what the best way of doing it is. I have already fitted the rubber toe to the kickstand. I had to run a tap through the nut at the back to make sure that the bolt ran smoothly, and I'm finding on quite a lot of nut and bolts that running a tap and die over them just makes sure that they're not binding. The same was true for the pivot here and the thread in the back of the kickstand. It needed a die running over the nut. I think the plating adds a little bit of thickness, and the powder coating leaves a bit of gunk in there, so it's worth doing if you've got the right size taps and dies. I would highly recommend actually if you are doing any of these that you get yourself a basic tap and die set, because you will use it quite a lot. Get some grease on there. This is a pivot point. Okay. Walk that on. You can definitely feel the thickness of the powder coating making a difference to this. Get that started. There we go. That's started. Bloody grease everywhere. I don't want to over tighten this and pinch it. I'm not sure you can over tighten it. No, that's good. So that's good. That slides up. There we have it. Very good. I need to get the spring on now somehow. I may do that off camera as it takes a little while. Right, I managed to get the spring back on off camera because I thought it was going to take a lot longer than it did. For the Honda PCX scooter I've got, I needed to take the springs off the kickstand, the centre stand, in order to clean and paint the centre stand and to clean the springs, and that was a hell of a battle. And I ended up making this tool out of an old filling knife, decorator's filling knife, which involved drilling holes in it which were big enough to hook into the spring, which gave me a handle to pull on. Still a bastard of a fight, but it allowed me to get under the spring here and pull it with my knee up against the back wheel, which stopped the bike from rolling backwards. And I just had enough strength to pull the spring onto the kickstand, onto the centre stand. So now I have the centre stand in working condition. So that's good. That's another part done. Okay, I think we're now in a position where we can let the bike stand on its own 3 feet. Right, quick guided tour. So you can see, back on our wheels. I don't have a very wide angle camera, so it's difficult to get the whole thing in the shot at the same time. The garage is a tip, but it doesn't matter. We are back on 2 wheels and we are looking good. She's leaning quite strongly to the left on her stand, and I suspect it's because there's no weight in it. There's no engine, there's no tank, there's no ancillaries, headlamps, all the rest of it. I think once the suspension compresses a bit, she'll sit a bit more upright. Excuse the dodgy camera work.